What's up, everybody? It's Joe La Puma. You were listening. You're watching the Complex Sneakers Podcast. As always, I am with my guys. First off, to my right, Mr. Matt Welty.
Here we are.
He almost didn't make it. He was a little late. Came straight from, what'd you take, an Escalade here, or?
No, I took a train.
Okay.
BuzzFeed put the...
Okay. I wasn't sure if you took an Escalade or the New Jersey Transit, but he made it here. Always on time. To my left,
What up, Joe?
Mr. Brendan Dunne.
I think that we need to apologize to you.
What, you went out to dinner again without me? Is that what?
Actually,
is that
yes.
how we're starting?
Actually,
yeah,
yes.
I saw it. You guys didn't think I was going to see the
Look
IG
at how
story?
sheepish he
Wait,
looks right
you guys
now.
didn't think
I didn't post
was it PG knows. PG knows dry snitching on you guys.
my
I saw.
Oh, my
and you know what it is?
Hey, look, can I get any credit for being forthcoming about this
Yes,
and addressing it
appreciate
as soon as possible?
I appreciate it, but here's what I would say. PG, right into the camera. Don't think that you're going to flood your IG story with all these resale sneakers and then sneak in a dinner with these two like I'm not going to see it. I saw it. Where'd you guys go?
Same place we went last time without you.
Okay.
He also drastically under-ordered.
Oh, this was a big...
PG or
No.
you?
He got fried. He got fried in our other group chat for it.
Okay.
Done?
I was...
No, Welty felt
was-
like PG underordered.
I was a few minutes late, whatever, so I guess that's maybe on
Okay.
me. So I hit Paul, and I go, Paul, like, just get me, like, a mixed grill or whatever, right?
I think you said order a mixed grill.
No, I was like, get me... I was like...
I don't think you said get me... You. I don't
No.
think you specified that you wanted a mixed grill to
Anyways, I
yourself.
told him to get... It's not... It was just like... There was like 6 or 7 people there, and he ordered like enough food for like 2.5 people.
All right, well,
Okay,
listen.
look, can I say this? Welty is the only person who felt that way because Mubi, our dear friend Mubi Ali, who we're going to get on this podcast sooner or later, he's the man
Crooked
now
Tongues?
at Reebok.
Yeah.
Crooked
OG.
Tongues. Yes, Mubi.
OG.
But now Mubi's at Reebok doing all the cool stuff that Leo was doing before.
Okay.
So as soon as they let him come on here, we're bringing him on here. But
OG, Crooked Tongues. I think I used to email him for samples or something like that. Yeah.
shout out to Mubi. We love him. He was in town. We had dinner with him. But
Would have been nice
Welty,
to reconnect. But
Mubi felt like he had enough food. I felt like I had enough
I also
food.
saw, and he ate like 3 bites of food. And so did our friend Ride. He ate like 2 little pieces
So
of chicken.
this is the
So that's like...
You were the only one who felt like that.
No,
was
Paul said
under-ordering.
the same thing. And when we showed it in the group chat...
Those people weren't
All right,
there.
listen,
No, but it doesn't
I'm
matter.
not-
But we showed it.
It doesn't
in,
matter, it's
No,
right.
it does matter because we showed it in We showed it in the Armenian group chat, and someone goes, if our friend Larry, a few other people goes, Paul, what do you have to say for yourself for that poor showing for the
Okay,
ordering?
listen.
So this is the second
Can I
time-
just say this? I
Yes.
respect Larry's opinion, and I respect the opinion of the Armenian group chat, but those guys weren't there at dinner with us.
okay, this is all I have to say. And you know I've stuck up for PG in the past over the credit card thing. All I'm saying
Joe
is
brought
it-
up the credit
Is
card.
it? No, I'm not
He
bringing
paid
it
in
up.
cash this time. Just to
Okay,
make
is
sure.
it possible that he under-ordered just in case? I'm just saying.
For budgetary purposes?
Yeah, but only just
Fiduciary
because.
concerns?
No, only because the sneakers are moving, not because of the credit card.
Look at
PG.
Look at it this way: if there was like a traditional like Italian Sunday dinner, right? And
Okay.
usually it's a big spread,
You
right?
only got the galamad
And you saw, and you're like, you would know, but you would know if there was like, oh, we had like 9 people over for dinner, and you're like, that spread's looking a little thin, right?
Welty was stressed out. He was
I wasn't
out.
I
stressed.
feel like I need to attend and just break the cycle. Break the cycle of bad luck. It seems like
That's
PG's
PG.
not having the great luck. Yeah, maybe I got an invite.
Can I say this, though?
Yep.
He did have a good weekend because Paul and I both attended Got Soul in New Jersey, and Paul said he got recognized. PG Knows got recognized at a sneaker convention.
Yeah, he's warming up because
took
he's
a couple
about
photos.
he's about to be here very soon.
deal.
Hopefully.
The best was he sent me. I guess this is dry snitching, but he sent me a video that you had sent him
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's dry snitching.
No, go
Literally the
ahead. Go ahead.
definition.
Go ahead.
and I'm sorry, I don't want to like
Jacob,
screw
our
this up.
coworker.
Okay, yes, someone who works on the social team. I remember seeing him like pre, I think
Yeah, Jacob.
pandemic, but just hadn't seen him since. And the video was like, is he a real person or is he just like
PG?
Yeah, Jacob on the social team here at Complex asked me whether or not PG was a real person, which is a totally valid question because
where is he?
he exists on the internet, but does
Exactly.
he exist in real life? Is he ever willing to come and sit next to us, our friends, on this program
Got
and
tons
talk
of room.
about his illustrious career in sneaker reselling and collecting? I
We're
don't know.
waiting. We're waiting. We're waiting. Anyway, fuck your life because the antepasta. Okay? The antepasta I had on Easter Sunday, you know we're putting a picture in, and
Please.
it made up for not being invited to to your dinner again.
You ordered
the other
plenty.
thing that maybe have to apologize, and you said not apologize for, you said that, Joe, was, as people know, I had like a burp from the seltzer. Ugh. You can
Leave
cut
that in. No.
Yeah,
Can we leave that in?
I don't care.
We'll see. He doesn't care.
We had Tony Yayo on full size run.
Yeah, but-
and in true Tony Yayo fashion, he leaks the episode
Love it.
the day that he's there, which we've had other guests do. And
Love
you know what?
it.
At this point,
I kind of like it. It's a nice little like
it's
teaser.
a little
Yeah.
like you'll see like certain podcasts when they have like a big guest coming up, though, like 3 days before, and you get a little excited for it.
Yeah.
I never get mad at the artist leaking it. It's someone on the
In the camp.
That's or like our own crew or like sometimes
Like if you didn't put it out there, but like someone who was
The
like there
artist,
on
yeah.
set, like took a
Dave
picture.
Matthews snitching.
Yeah.
the biggest miss though. The biggest miss is when I had Neymar on sneaker shopping, right? And he Instagram storied and added me, but the didn't catch. So it was just
The amount of clout you missed out
Oh,
on.
You couldn't
so-
click the link.
Yeah,
you like
can't-
shadow
you
banned
know,
or something.
No, not that you click the
tag
link.
Joe La Puma.
No. You know when sometimes you just write at Brendan
Yeah,
Dunne
yeah,
and
yeah,
it doesn't. It like there's a space or
Doesn't catch,
something.
yeah.
I missed out. So,
Oh, wow.
but yeah, I don't mind when
No, but
artists do
anyways,
that.
fortunes would have changed.
We had Tony Yayo on, and he leaked it. So I shared it because I'm like, whatever. He leaked
Yeah.
it, like whatever. And someone tweets at me, was like, so did you guys get Joe's G Unit sneakers signed by Tony, like the complete? Because if you remember, like Tony Yayo was in jail when those shoes got signed.
Because Joe has a pair of the original G Unit
That he got
Reeboks.
the first shoes he bought from PG that I had to like help broker the deal between because Joe didn't want to pay the amount of money that Paul wanted. And that's how it started. The whole
that's
relationship.
how his credit card
The
didn't
bromance.
catch.
Yeah, and listen, and him and I have done great business. But I will say,
We're sorry. This is just
he's
Welty
not
and
that
I
sorry.
apologizing.
No,
You
but
know
you
why
told
he's
me-
not that sorry?
Yeah.
Because I called him at 9:52 a.m. yesterday to talk about the weekend, but I definitely said, oh, you have Tony Yayo. It would have been cool if I had the G Unit sneakers. Now, if you thought about it, he would have been like, it's two sides to the story. He would have been like, yeah, come through and we'll sign it. But also,
I'm surprised you didn't just pop up.
I know, but also, you guys got the the Kicks magazine.
I was gonna say, do I not get any credit? Do I not get any
no,
credit for a
that's why-
couple weeks
that's why
before
I'm
getting
not
that
mad.
signed for you?
Enough signing memorabilia for 1 month, right? And also,
I'm just like a gopher to get your
yeah,
shit
that's what I
signed.
mean. That's why I
but
didn't
you
press
said-
him.
You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
buy roll up full
I
size Reddits
agree.
to get Joe's memorabilia signed
Exactly,
for him.
and I agree because, like, you know, some people like taking pictures or getting guests to sign
I'm
the
fine
stuff.
doing that.
But,
you had
yeah,
said the
that's why I
reason
didn't.
why you didn't want him to sign it was because he didn't sign the shoes because he was in prison when the shoes were signed, and you were like, oh, it makes it like not historically inaccurate, but it like
It's almost anachronistic, right? It doesn't make sense for the time
And I
period. 'cause
believe one of them, I'd have to check. One of them, maybe Shaw Money XL, wrote Free Yayo on the shoes. I would have to check.
perfect.
I don't remember. I could have been making that up. But anyway, Tony Yayo following up Nems. 2 bangers.
very New York.
we're happy with it.
We're
2
outside.
We were
And-
outside.
Yeah.
Actually, I was outside this weekend. Welty, you were sorely missed at the New Balance event.
Oh yeah, I heard people had people asked me why I wasn't there. You know,
They didn't get-
Everybody was asking me why you weren't there. You know, I love going to these sneaker events where everybody's there, and we haven't had one like this in a long time. I felt like maybe the Nike Forum thing a couple years ago was the last thing, but this New Balance event was like on another level of just everybody you knew in the industry was there, and also everybody listened to our podcast episode about New
They love
Balance.
that one.
Yeah.
They
So-
love that one.
A lot of support there, but people wanted to know where Welty was.
I wasn't there.
They couldn't get your rider intact?
The Escalade.
Yeah, what happened? Did you
No,
request?
it was a situation where I had gotten the invite, and Brendan, we had spoken about
Yeah,
this
yeah.
after, where so they invited me to the thing, but it was like, hey, you know, on Wednesday or whatever the day of the week was, you're invited to a party, the track, New Balance.
Yeah.
Jack Harlow we were performing from like 6 to 9 or something.
I interviewed Jack Harlow, of course.
But it didn't mention like we want to like bring you out here to come to the thing. It was just like a hey, if you're in town. It seemed like a hey, if you're in town sort of situation.
They
It
would
was
have
in
been happy to
Boston.
have you, Welty.
And then I just saw it and I was like, I can't make it. So
For
I
someone
didn't even bother like replying. But apparently they did provide travel. So
Yeah, you could have said his travel provide.
yeah, I feel like usually when travel is provided, they hit you from the top saying, "Hey, we're willing to cover your travel."
This guy
hurts
got
to
there.
ask. You know, some people disrespected me there. I had on those
Don't
same
ever disrespect
yeah, I
him.
had on the same like Dune New Balance 997 non-native. And one of the people there who I won't name was like, I thought you would have come with some heat. I'm like, man, if you don't know about this shit, not that that's like the pinnacle of New Balance. Also, that first day wearing them was like rain and somebody bumped into him on the train. Actually, some guy from Concepts, I think his name was Andrew. He gave me a little head nod for the New Balance.
The
Dune
Derek Jeter
non-native.
kid, respect. The respect
I saw
hat.
so many people there. Like, Frank Clyburn, who used to be at Adidas.
Oh yeah, shout out Frank.
Tom Carlio from, Dion, Madison, Annie. Everybody was in the
whole
building.
squad.
Yeah, good times up there.
DJ Clark.
Clark was in there.
One of the funnier stories, and this no one will be. There's actually I don't even know who the people are, so no one will be named on this. It's a very anonymous story.
Is this New Balance related?
New Balance related? Yeah.
Matthias, everybody. Sorry.
No. So I'm outside. This is like way pre-pandemic. This is like maybe like 2016, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And
You got the bucket hat with the stain.
I'm outside of SNS. I think this is maybe when SNS bar first opened up, where they were doing, not even the bar was open, but they were doing like a party downstairs or something.
Yep.
And there was like all these random industry people there, and there was two people outside, and I believe there was one woman who worked for Adidas who was talking to a guy who worked for New Balance. And this is like when Adidas was having their little like boost run. And he was just like, hey, I work for New Balance. Like, you work in the industry too? Like, where do you work? And she's like, oh, I work at Adidas. He's like, oh, cool. Like, we both work at sneaker companies. And she's like, yeah, but you work for a trash ass brand.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
And he was
Do
like,
you remember? Oh, you said you don't.
I
know
don't.
the
I
people's
don't.
names,
I don't
so-
remember who either
Yeah.
of these people were. That's why I feel totally comfortable telling this story.
Now-
but I just remember like hearing this and like being like, I liked Adidas.
Yeah.
And I loved New Balance too at the same time. But hearing that mentality from someone at Adidas, where I felt like there was a lot of like not kinship, but there was a lot of common shared outlook on footwear
between New Balance and Adidas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to hear someone at Adidas who maybe, for my estimation, was maybe a new hire within all that boost era,
Okay,
especially
okay.
someone talking like that.
Wow.
Saying you work for a trash ass brand.
That's rough.
It kind of soured me a little bit on maybe what the future of Adidas was going to be, knowing that that was the mentality of people behind the
You
company.
went
at
home
the-
and burned all your NMDs?
No,
You
but
know what's funny? I thought that the conversation between them was going to be arguing over Matt Welty's loyalty and contract. I thought they were going to be
Yeah,
negotiating.
it took
like,
a left turn, huh?
I don't know
who was
why. I
gonna
don't know
sign
why
you to a
that.
max
I don't know why that
influencer deal.
one. It's such a random thing. It was like midnight. It was like 1 o'clock. It was like
Yeah.
late or whatever. And they
They're
were
out
obviously
on little West 12th Street.
people had been probably drinking at the event,
Yeah.
and just to hear that, I don't know why it just like that one little thing just stuck in my
Man,
brain.
you get a couple complimentary drinks into a sneaker industry person at
Get it.
a launch event, and you never know what you might hear on the street.
You hear some
at
things
1 a.m.
fly. You hear some things fly.
That's why I don't go.
That's
Try
why
to get
Joe
you back in the circuit.
Joe, have I ever seen you like out and about at like a sneaker party?
I mean, the Nike Forum thing, that's not really
I
a
wasn't there,
party,
so-
but
Nike
that was
Forum?
probably the thing in 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Travis Scott,
Yep,
Kendrick Lamar
yep.
was there,
I was there.
Virgil, R.I.P.
Probably
Sean
not.
Donahoe.
But yeah, that's what I'm just.
Maybe soon, though.
Yeah?
I don't know.
All right.
Remember there was a big early on like Kith party, but I don't even know if you ended up going to that one either.
I might have been in the VIP. You just couldn't see me. Just kidding. No, just
I was going to say, how likely is it
It was
that
like
Joe
some
La
Kith.
Puma
It was
skipped
like
the Kith
it's like
party?
a Kith Heineken party at like a.
Maybe.
That's a big Team Epiphany special.
Oh, team. Yeah.
Walked out of there with the free backpack.
Yep.
Come on, we know the
The
era.
hoodie with the green tag.
We know the era.
Yes.
Y'all want to give away some sneakers?
Let's do it. It's about that time.
Okay. I wasn't
People
sure.
really like the ones we gave away last week, the cactus plant dunks.
Yeah.
I think we have another,
Do you know what we're giving away this week
I
with
do.
eBay? I don't know
No.
what it is.
and it's right behind door number 1.
Okay, let me grab the sneakers
Actually,
out. This
your
is our
seat.
sneaker giveaway for eBay for this week. Oh, I
Always-
think I know what it is. I think we gave away a pair of these before, right?
Oh yes, we did. I know exactly what it is now.
Yep. By the way, if you want to win a free pair of sneakers from the Complex Sneakers podcast, this is how it works. You go to ebay.complex.com. You do not go to the YouTube comments. You can go to the YouTube comments to discuss whatever you want, but just don't try and submit for this weekly contest in the YouTube comments. Go to ebay.complex.com and give us a question. If we pick your question and read your question on the air here and answer your question, we're going to send you a free pair of sneakers courtesy of eBay Sneakers with the authenticity guarantee tag on there so you know it's real. Excuse me, I bumped into the mic at the end there. Is this the Homer SB Dunk Low?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
We're giving away another pair of these? Oh, my God.
Look at that. I always say that. Every time we open the box, I say, look at that. But these shoes are beautiful.
We need a super cut of Joe going, look
at that. Wow. Look at that. Look at that.
With
I
the
know
tag on
we've
there.
mentioned this shoe on the podcast. I
Yeah.
know we gave it away before, but I think even recently we
About a theme shoe that's not corny or something?
Yeah.
And people were like trying to hit me, being like, "Oh, that's because it's not officially licensed." It's like, yeah, duh, I know that, you know.
Right.
But still,
And I feel like when Nike SB recently started doing proper collaborations, that kind of era, you weren't a fan of that, right? Of like there were the whole build up of Nike SB and all these cool like wink
what would
and
you
nod.
say is like one that was like an official collaboration recently?
I mean, like 7-Eleven and
Oh,
Ben and
yeah, yeah,
Jerry's
yeah,
and stuff
right,
like
you're
that.
right.
I feel like you really were not rocking with that.
Yeah, and also I don't know if I had mentioned it on here. One of my favorite moments of that shoe is Murs wearing it in the Bad Man music video.
The Homer SB Dunk.
Yes, I think whatever year that was, 2006,
Yeah.
2005.
I mean, I'm just a big fan of these because I'm a huge Simpsons head. Like we had VHS tapes, you know, of so many Simpsons episodes, and every DVD box set after that. I would ride the bus on the way to school, listen to the Simpsonic CD.
Who's your favorite Simpsons character?
I'm a Mo guy. I don't know. I love them all.
Mo is the bartender?
Yeah. Hans Mo
what
Man.
about the guy who always says the
Nelson Muntz? Yeah. I mean, yeah, Nelson's funny.
What about Ralph?
I did like
Ralph Wiggum, of
the I think I wore them on here, the Ned Flanders
Yeah.
Adidas, and what was
But that's an official collaboration. Yeah.
what was it was the Krusty Burger.
Yeah, they had a
ZX.
Krusty Burger pair. That's right. Yeah.
Those are actually pretty good.
Yeah. So, Joe, who are we giving these sneakers away to, and what was their question this
Okay,
week?
we are giving these shoes away to Jennifer Gleesberg. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing the last name. Jennifer Gleesberg.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, Dave Matthews, very small font in the email. So, not blaming him, but also at least size 14 font. Okay. The question is, how many pairs is too many for your collection? You can't put a number on it.
I do.
You count your pairs?
No.
I would say my answer to this is I wouldn't have a number, but when you liquidate a bunch, 40 here, 40 there, and don't ever think of wearing any pairs that are in that batch that you liquidated, you probably should consistently do that. If there's a 40 that you give away, there's another 40. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that if you take inventory and shoes that you haven't worn in a long time besides like your classics, should always keep maybe liquidating or giving them away or something like that. That's what I would say. I don't have a number though.
Yeah.
I think that this can be applied to much more than sneakers.
Yes.
But I think the hard and fast answer for what is too many sneakers is one, when it becomes a physical space issue where like
Hey, I'm right there.
where you're like the sort of person that, you know, you have sneakers like above your kitchen cabinets or
Yeah.
something like that. Like you don't have enough space for the shoes.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where I don't have them above my kitchen cabinets, but I'm like,
You're right there.
yeah, where it's like, why do I have 15 pairs of shoes that are also like in my bedroom compared to where the sneakers are, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Dedicated space for them in
it's
your
just
house.
overflowing. And also the other two where I would say is too many is if you financially can't keep up with how much sneakers you're purchasing.
Definitely.
But that can apply to much more than sneakers.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think of it more numerically. I really,
So you know exactly how many pairs you have?
absolutely not.
Okay.
But I know it's between like 400 and 500, I think. And I know I would really like to get down to 200. To me, 400 is too many. I don't know if I've mentioned it to y'all before, but ideally, I would love to own just 100 pairs. And I think I could reasonably get to 200 right now. But like 100, and the breakdown is like 30 pairs of Nikes, 10 pairs of Reeboks, 10 pairs of Adidas, you know, just like give myself a limit on each category or each brand like that and do it in that way, because
The tough part too is when you have so many shoes and you realize that you've just worn so many of them. So you have all these shoes, but like half of them are like
worn once. Right?
No. Like they're worn a bunch.
Oh, well, that stuff I don't mind, because then I'm just like,
But
I'm
then-
donating it or I'm throwing it
Yeah.
away.
That's true.
Yeah.
I am jealous though. I will admit this of where your desk is situated in the office because you have that little like cove
Yeah,
where you
I have
can
a
kind of like
corner.
keep your sneakers
Yeah.
all like
You're in the-
wherever.
yeah.
Where I'm just in like the end middle of a row where like I can't stack my shoes against the wall because there's a window there.
Yeah.
So there's no one here right now, but they've spread across a few desks, and people have been like, "Hey, don't you only have one desk in the office?" And you're like, Ugh.
No, I definitely have very much taken advantage of the space I have here at the complex office to deposit a lot of sneakers there. And I have too many sneakers here at the office.
I guess the counterpoint is like being home for Easter this weekend. I was home for like 3 days. I probably wore 3 different pairs of sneakers like that I would never think of wearing. Like took a walk in the Air Max 95s, wore the Todd Snyder 997s. Remember the navy blue? Like wore
Welty
those.
set you up with those?
Yep, he got me. He hooked me up with those, and then like, yeah, went out Saturday night for some drinks, and wore like a quartet. You know what I mean? So
There's not a number though. If you had, because I'd be mad if I had 1,000 pairs of shoes. I got close to that number. I think not super close, but I'd be annoyed with myself if I got back up that high again.
Remember when that was like the MO or the goal to
Yes.
be like, oh, I want to have like
sure.
3,000 pairs of shoes.
Yeah,
and
not
you're like,
anymore.
"That's not
Definitely,
cool."
definitely. As a younger person, I was like, "That's what I want to be," and then I was like, "Oh no, that is."
It validated like how much of a sneaker person you
Yeah.
were. Like,
Yeah,
but yeah, I've done it with clothes, and someone I know has a rule like 6 months if you don't wear
wow.
like, and they were like, you never miss it. I'm
Man,
not
we're putting
on,
sneakers away for 6 years.
no,
and
but
even thinking
hoodies,
about
but
them.
like hoodies and stuff.
Okay.
So I'm not on that yet, but I've done like a purge, and I didn't miss anything. So it just means that I have to
conduct.
do,
and I
do
feel
more.
like if you're not one of those people, and I'm not one of those people who's like super on top of keeping your sneaker collection like almost like cataloged and
Oh,
organized.
I wish I had that.
You know, the people where it's like everything's like neatly like broken down and
Yeah,
stocked
yeah.
and piled, and there's like no random shoes
It's
anywhere.
beautiful.
And you can go through and pull everything out, or you're the sort of person that has like all the drop boxes, so you can like actually survey
Yeah.
See
your whole
exactly what's in
footwear.
there.
Like maybe the pairs don't feel like as much because you have kind of
A better mental picture of exactly what you have.
yeah.
Is there one recent like sneaker, not a grail, I would say, but one sneaker that you really wanted that you haven't unds'd yet that you're waiting?
One that I own.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like old Dunks from 2003, 2004 that I've come really close to. Actually, I might do this for the season finale on Full Size Run, but I have the pair of, this isn't a grail per se, but just like J-Pack Dunks.
Nice shoe.
Dead stock sitting at my desk. And I'm like, oh, I should just bring these out for Full Size Run. So,
Not as much. I mean, I've talked about it on here before. It's like I have a bunch of shoes that my thing is always like I want to wear the shoe for the first time on
Something.
the show.
Yeah.
So it's like there'll be stuff that like I want to wear it, but it's just sitting there because I haven't like
Yeah.
worn it on an episode yet. Like I'm not just gonna wear it out on a Saturday with my friends and then do whatever in it, and then somewhere down the road put it on.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say to both of your point, I have some in mind, but I'm waiting for like a big episode, like a finale.
We look forward to that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Like we said, Jennifer has these sneakers coming here. We're going to put these away, and we're going to bring on our guest for the week. We haven't done a guest episode in a couple weeks, but this is a good one. This is a spicy one. It's a timely one.
Absolutely. Our guest on today's podcast is the Chief Creative Officer for one of the most disruptive indie collectives in sneakers. Besides doing it out with major footwear brands, the company recently launched its app where you could buy limited products that always cause a stir, including the latest drop, a collaboration with Tyga on his Wavy Baby sneakers. Please welcome to the podcast, MSCHF's Lukas Bentel. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
How are you, Lucas?
Good.
Got
Doing
the
well.
wavy
Yeah,
ba-
got the wavy babies.
Yep. And
Yeah.
listen, it's been a week. We had Tyga, little self promo. We had Tyga on Sneaker Shopping. Go check that out. We talked about it. We talked about these sneakers at length. I've seen them. The seating program is strong. Doja Cat. I seen Usher. A bunch of celebrities wearing them. Let's start here and talk about this experience with this sneaker.
Yeah, I mean, it's been it's definitely been a wild ride. It's something we've been working on for, I mean, over a year. From concept, even pre-Tyga, we were planning on releasing this and really pushing it out. And what we really wanted to do is, just like really tread the line between a classic and a completely out there sneaker concept. Like this is not a normal thing. I think originally MSCHF was doing a lot of mods. Where we
Custom
did
stuff,
that.
the
Yeah, we
Satan
did like the
shoes.
Satan
Yeah.
shoes and the Jesus shoes, but we wanted to really build something from scratch. So the MSCHF sneaker program has been a real experiment in like making things from the ground up, and it's really difficult going to factories saying like we want to do this crazy shaped thing. That's honestly one of the most tricky processes, and just working through it.
And before we go any further, like I said, you're wearing the Wavy Babies. We always say what's on feet, so Lukas is wearing the Wavy Baby Tyga collaboration with MSCHF.
You also have like a haircut to match it too? Am I?
I mean, this is more
Wait,
of
what?
like it's not a haircut to match. It's just like this
Oh,
Oh, how'd you know that?
I
is,
didn't know
this is
came
the
in.
Charlie Brown. I don't
Look
know.
at this guy paying
You're
attention.
Welty is sitting the furthest from it. For people listening who can't see the visuals, Lucas has cut into his hair a shape that looks a little bit like
I mean,
the
it's
Wavy.
not
Alright.
specifically from the Wavy, but that's been like a pandemic haircut. That's
Wait, is that what inspired the shoe? They're
down.
just like sitting around and someone saw the back of your head and
maybe,
was
who
like,
knows?
Yeah, that's
But,
a good line for the judge.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they when they pull you in court, that's actually what inspired the shoe. I have some Adidas Spezial Lensleys on. I've had these on a lot lately. Maybe even on this program before, so I apologize.
I went with the Mars Yard 2.0s.
When I walked in real quick, and I know that Brendan always sits to the right and Joe sits in the middle, but with the tan pants and the Mars Yards, I was like, wait, why is Brendan sitting in?
You thought that Joe was doing a Brendan Dunne cosplay?
I thought you were
Because I'm
sitting.
the Tom Sachs guy, right?
I thought you were sitting in his seat.
it's Joe.
I can see it. I got the Brendan Dunne fit on.
Friend of the program, Ronnie Feig, A6 Gel Light 3.
Yeah.
Chalk.
Nice one.
colorway. Yep.
Let's get back to these Wavy Babies.
Yes.
Yeah.
How hyped do you guys get when you guys get sued?
I mean, it means we're doing something good. I think. I think it's honestly we're not really worried about it too much. I think it really the piece sort of speaks for itself, and we're definitely coming at this from more of an artist lens. I think we really see ourselves, even though we have a sneaker program, it's a brand, we see ourselves as an artist group, and we've been operating as an artist group for years at this point, and we do see these as an extension of that artist practice that we've had.
Why
And,
aren't you worried about it though?
I mean, I think it's more we're like actively talking back and forth, and I think the piece, I really believe, speaks for itself. It's very different. There are other shoes that also tread the line between inspired and are complete knockoffs. I mean, even if you look back, even looking at like Nike, like the Cortez, and ripping on the Asics, whatever the Corsair or
Soka
something
Yeah.
is like that, or like even Balenciaga and seeing what Demna's doing with Asics.
That one.
And stuff like that. There's a bunch of inspired by pieces that exist, and we're not saying that this isn't from there, but it is completely different from what they have been putting out, and it uses that as an anchor and as a base, but there's a lot of discussion about how transformative does something have to be a completely unique piece. And we're very confident that this is a unique piece in that sense.
I gotta say some words here that maybe you can't say, just so people understand. Vans sued MSCHF this week, or was it the end of last week? Excuse me.
Yeah.
End of last week, after sending out a couple cease and desists to you and to Tyga as well before that. They're saying that your Wavy Baby sneaker is a knockoff of the Vans Old School, which it certainly looks a lot like the Vans Old School, probably on purpose, and the box the box looks like it as well.
Yeah.
You're saying you're not worried. I talked to Dan, one of the co-founders at MSCHF, and he said y'all also have a new general counsel too,
We
right?
do.
Somebody who
He's-
used to work for the Obama administration, is that
I
correct?
mean, he worked with Obama. He worked for RBG. He's very good. He says we have, a cannon on our shoulder that's the First Amendment, and I think we're in pretty good hands.
Yeah.
And I think the MSCHF project has been one of like trying to touch things that are seen as sacred by a lot of people and just try to push those boundaries. So I think it's been an interesting experience, but I'm just very confident in our position at the moment.
So, did you always set out to disrupt with whatever kind of comes your way? Whatever consequences come your way? And I guess before you're about to drop them, are you waiting like we haven't heard yet, or are you fully expecting that you may go through some litigation?
I mean, to be quite frank, I was not expecting them to do anything about this piece. We've done things that are much worse and have had many bigger people coming after us.
Who's the biggest who's come after MSCHF?
I mean, I don't know. We had Nike was probably the biggest one, but there was also, just little bits of back and forth with like Boston Dynamics and other, people in the art world.
What is that, Boston Dynamics?
They
make
the
those little
robots.
spot robots.
Yeah.
So we did a piece where we got a Boston Dynamics spot robot and put a paintball gun on the top of it and let people online control the robot in a art gallery and sort of like shoot up the art gallery, which is just sort of pointing to this insane, militarized future of these robots. And they were very upset about that because they have all these like really
show up at your doorstep and kill you.
And they have all these like really cute videos of the dogs, pouncing up and down. But I mean, when it comes down to it, they're, as a company, started by military funding, et cetera, et cetera. But I think we take them as they come, and everything. I think the one thing we said when we started was we never wanted to do the same thing twice. So every single project has been completely unique and in a completely different space. I think sneakers is the one object category that we've, besides expressly fine art, that we've really doubled down on doing multiple versions of in as a medium, because I think sneakers are such a good medium to have these like really crazy stories.
Yeah.
So everyone I've spoken to about this shoe says if someone was walking down the street and I told you that I asked you what the person across the street was wearing, they'd say they're wearing a pair of Vans. Wouldn't you say that sort of like viewpoint by like the general public would have, like the court of law in Vans' favor versus yours? The fact that the average person really wouldn't be able to, unless you like sat there and looked at it with, a magnifying glass and saw the label on the back and saw that it read this, but just like if you walked across the office and you were wearing a pair of those sneakers, it's a pair of Vans.
I think these are the anchor of the shoe, like the base of the shoe before our transformation is, of course, a Vans, and I think there's no doubting that, and we are completely playing into that space. But there are a few things. Number one, I think it is a really unique transformation that Vans would not ever have done. I wouldn't even say, like, I have a pair right now, and I'd love, even if you like put them on and walked around, you'll see this is it's not the greatest on-foot feeling shoe. It is really...
It's a heavy shoe.
It is a heavy shoe. I mean, I can take them out I'm not sure what you guys want to... Or I'll just pass them around. But they're, in our sense, it's sort of... We are in the business of making visual images that we put out into the world and putting out these really interesting critical concepts. And this, in our mind, is an image. It's sort of like, if you want to be like if we're talking about things that are untouchable to us, frequently you would think, like big brands. You walk outside, you look at the street, you're seeing, just advertising everywhere, and these are things that are untouchable. They're like sacred in some sense.
You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to.
And at the
mess with
same
that on
sense,
any
we're
level.
just completely inundated by it all the time. So I think one of the things that we really play on and like play with is just trying to push those boundaries of like what we as people interacting in the world can touch and mess with.
Yeah.
So this is a play in that space, and we've had many other plays in that space previously that really range from very fine art related things to some of these.
Let's go back to the first sneaker. Was it the Holy Water one?
It was.
So I remember like seeing it in resale stores, and I remember Yachty had a pair.
Yeah,
Drake had a pair, right?
Drake had a pair.
Drake
too.
had a pair,
Yeah.
exactly. And that one, was there a lot of controversy with that one, or not so much? And then it seems like you guys just wanted to turn it up a little bit.
I mean, there was a bit of controversy, but there was nothing that made us think that it was going to be any bit different. Like, there's a whole modding community for sneakers, and I think we saw them very much as fine art objects. They were I mean, they were priced as fine art objects. We priced them at the Jesus shoes were $14.25 because the Bible verse where Jesus walked on water is Matthew 14:25, and the Satan shoes were something like 10:18 or 10:16.
Something in the Bible referencing.
Yeah,
Lucifer or something,
that's where like Satan falls from heaven. So it was very much, it was priced as an art object. We weren't really even thinking, to be quite frank, I didn't even know if people were going to buy them and wear them
care on
because
any level.
and then they ended up really blowing up, and I mean, especially because Drake got a pair, and but I think then that led into the Satan shoe, which we were going to do no matter what, but there was such a good storyline with Lil Nas X descending from heaven, going to hell.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed like a match made in heaven for that one, and that one was
Is that a
the one
match made in heaven?
Did you have the shoe idea first, or you partnered, or you discussed with Lil Nas X first, or it ceremoniously came together?
Everything MSCHF does, because we are a collective of artists thinking about all these concepts all the time. We have a bank of thousands of ideas, and the idea when working with us always comes from us first. Like, we won't work with anybody on someone else's idea. That's just not our style.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't want to work with, like, we will work, like, talk back and forth, but I think the initial concept and conception comes from within our collective, and it's a bunch of us. So this is like
then you're placing who may work with this well.
yeah.
Whose blood is in the sneakers?
I mean, a little bit of mine. So
Who's what?
Yeah.
Your blood is in the shoes, the Lil Nas X Satan shoes.
Really?
Yeah. How did you draw it?
We had some syringes and
Wow.
someone that was
Lucas, you really put a syringe in your arm for this shit?
We did. I mean, there's a whole history of like kind of wacky blood in art type things, and it was, for better or for worse, we were really thinking of those as art pieces. I know now this is sort of transcending into more of a straight sneaker.
Yeah, you have a sneakers
space,
app.
like,
yeah.
and so that is us sort of pushing those buttons a little more in some sense, because I think we were told that we couldn't do certain things, and we said we're going to just figure out how to make them ourselves. So that's sort of the impetus behind pushing, an actual sneaker brand, MSCHF sneakers.
When you approached Tiger with this one, was there any hesitation because of what happened with the Lil Nas X thing and the controversy?
I mean, I'm going to be quite frank. I had no hesitation at all, but possibly other people did. It was just that it seemed transformative enough to pass, past that boundary. It's sort of, for example, I have an image of Vans, old school, this, and then a shoe that's warped out, warped to shit so much that you couldn't tell. And like
more so than this.
More so than
the
this.
Wavy Baby.
So if we went back and we were like, okay, let's warp this even more. Okay, now is it okay? Oh wait, if we warp it even more, is it okay now? Like, where along that spectrum does it lie? And I think there's some back and forth that could be had in terms of trade dress and specifically other things. And I'm going to leave that to the legal team, and like everything's in good faith right now. So but in our perspective, this is a transformative piece. It's like a very different object.
It's funny because I thought you said it's sneakers in your blood. Not,
Oh yeah.
So a little background, like, who's the sneakerhead out of the group, or are you guys all sneakerheads? And what, like, brief history do you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of us that are sneakerheads.
How many people are in it?
So it started with 5 of us.
Okay.
And
MSCHF.
yeah. And now we're a group of 30. So it's been.
And you got the Wordle guy.
We did
Wow.
get the World guy, but
Go Ducks.
Go-
Oh, sorry.
he's great.
Go
Yeah.
Ducks.
Yeah, he went to University of Oregon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think that doing a Satan shoe like the week or before of Easter, can you just say that like it's probably in pretty bad taste for people, to kind of try to put it out there?
Just being quite frank about it, I did not even when we were putting out, we did not even realize that was, Holy Week or whatever. Just a little bit of background. I've spent a lot of time. My family's very Catholic. I spent a lot of time in Catholic school. My siblings were literally baptized in St. Peter's in the Vatican. I have a lot of just.
How did they feel about it?
They're all okay with it. I think for some I mean, I'm like a recovering Catholic in some
Okay.
sense, but it's a culture and a thing that I think we can, as people that exist within that system, and that I think we can speak on it. I think Lil Nas X, for example, you know, his line about how he's been told to go to hell his whole life specifically from like a Christian religious point of view. And then when he goes to hell, that's when everybody is extremely upset. Is sort of telling. It's a little bit of a, you know, without heaven, there's no hell scenario. I think it is important for us as people to be able to look out onto the world and reflect back what we are seeing. And I think, I mean, specifically from my perspective, and many other people also within the company have various relationships with religion. The whole MSCHF experiment was, can we make work and position it right in front of the people that we actually want to engage with?
Right. Via sneakers.
Well, via sneakers is one
As
way.
one
I mean,
thing,
early on it was like other ways. It was it's, you know, websites, different things.
Email lists,
I mean,
things like that. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Were your parents upset about the sneakers at all? You said growing up.
no,
was very
not at
Catholic
all. I
household.
think they were very supportive, and I think they
Really,
sort of
you made it because
realized,
like my mom would be so upset.
Yeah.
Because you know, I have a similar experience of, you know, having grown up in a very religious setting, but my mom would be so appalled if I ever made a Satan shoe.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a little bit, it comes and goes. It's a lot of, you know, just discussion. I think my parents are very creative people individually, and I think they really do realize that a lot of this is about creative expression and just being able to reflect what's coming back to us in the world in a way where, I mean, it can start conversations and really engage.
Yeah.
I do want to like get back to whether it's like booking covers or booking our shows and like things matching up. So with Lil Nas X though, how did you like get word that he was going to do this kind of like themed video and stuff like that for the album rollout? And how did it match up? Like, how does that conversation even start?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Daniel Greenberg, who you've
I've
talked
spoken
to.
to Dan a number of times.
Is like MSCHF is the melding of many minds. Like, so maybe from my perspective, I'm talking much more from an artistic standpoint. Dan is a connector of people, and somehow through the ether of just talking to people, he made the right connections and ended up talking to.
Is it like a label though, or no?
I don't-
can't imagine. Like,
I don't believe it was I think it
Okay.
was through his management at
Okay.
the
Lil
time.
Nas X management. Yeah.
But I know he was a very excellent collaborator. Yeah.
He was into it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
interviewed him. He had no qualms about.
Yeah.
You said that at the company that people have many different outlooks on faith. Was there anyone inside the company who disagreed with you making the shoe?
I mean, every once in a while there, you know, because we're a collective of people and we all have various perspectives. I think everything is a conversation to some extent, and I think that's important. And I, to be quite frank, I don't think anybody was opposed to that piece. I think there are other things that we have done that we've had much more debate internally about. This one seemed
Somebody
like
thinking that like maybe you were crossing a line that
yeah,
you didn't
yeah.
want to cross.
This one seemed like a no-brainer.
Yeah. One of the interesting thing I think about some of these lawsuits around, so Nike sued MSCHF over the Satan shoes, and Vans is suing MSCHF over the Wavy Baby shoes. The Satan shoe is a collaboration with Lil Nas X, and the Wavy Baby shoe is a collaboration with Tyga. These footwear brands mention in their lawsuits these collaborating artists, but they don't mention them as defendants. They're not named as defendants. Do you have any insight into like the legal process as to why Nike's not suing Lil Nas X or not suing Tyga as well?
I think they don't want to have the wrath of extremely influential people in our culture. I
Yeah.
think that at the end of the day, that is my assumption. And I mean, I probably shouldn't even be saying too much more on, or I shouldn't speculate,
Right.
let's say, but my impression is it's right now we are definitely the little guy. I mean, we're literally working out of a garage in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So that's our setup, and we're very scrappy. And I don't think everybody. I mean, we're not a household name like Lil Nas X or Tyga at all. I think in our mind, it's sort of through these collaborations we can, push some of these concepts even further into a mainstream. But
When Lil Nas X was on social doing all the memes and stuff, what did you guys think about? Did
Oh
you
my
think like he
God,
should chill
beautiful.
out, or would you?
No,
or,
I mean he was going. He made a whole beautiful video going in court. You know,
Yeah.
he kept saying he was going to go to jail. I mean, we were, yeah. It was internally we weren't saying, we couldn't say anything, but he was at liberty to do whatever he
But
wanted. So.
does like a Lil Nas X or a Tyga, do they not hit y'all freaking out like, oh, you're getting sued? Am I going to get sued? You know?
I'm not entirely sure. I also feel like they're fairly well positioned just in terms of like having
A legal team,
Yeah,
yeah.
everything in place already, as opposed to, you know, us where it's a little more of a scramble. I mean, I think now we're pretty good.
Yeah.
But
is there like a lot of those shoes still like out there, or you had to like? Didn't I read that you had to destroy them?
The Satan shoes?
I don't know what I can
Okay.
talk about,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
with regards to this, but they're just out there.
Yeah. After the controversy, did some like high profile people hit you up to get them?
Yes, a lot, like many more than I was expecting. And I think the funny thing was, before, some people were very afraid of even accepting them. But
The
I
Satan
think,
shoe specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then after it went out, there were a number of people who were like, "Oh my gosh, I should have said yes." And we were like, "Sorry," you know, we were, yeah.
Do you pay attention to the other lawsuits like John Geiger, Warren Lotus? Like, what are your thoughts on people like that? Do you talk to those people?
Yeah. I
Do you-
mean, we've I've never spoken to John personally, but there are some of us at MSCHF who have talked to him, and yeah, I do think it's an interesting space to be in because of that. So I'll be interested to see what comes about with John's stuff, and like, I don't know, shout out to him honestly for just keep, you know, pursuing it
Yeah.
and pushing it on. So, but yeah, it's something that's in the back of our heads, but I think because we are in some sense outsiders of the sneaker space coming in from more of this fine art perspective, it's an interesting mix where he's been in it the whole time.
Yeah, he comes from the sneaker space,
yeah.
I think, a little more than y'all, yeah.
So would you say you don't really come from the sneaker space? Were you like?
No, I mean, going back to your question
Yeah.
before, like how many of us are sneakerheads
Yeah.
and how
Yeah.
many of us aren't. I would say, me personally, I've loved sneakers since I was a kid.
You had on the Osiris
Yeah, so
D3,
you had
really?
the Osiris D3. Do you like not obscure, but like
Yeah.
older models like that? What kind of like?
Yeah, I mean, I've right now I've been really, you know, wearing those D3s out because it's just such a crazy shoe to have existed. The one thing I realized from making these from scratch with everybody at MSCHF, I think we all realized that it's so freaking hard to make like a shoe,
yeah.
from scratch with the tooling. It's very expensive. Not only that, it takes some like real engineering and some like lots of back and forths and iterations. And I think we're learning right now. We've taken one or two stabs so far, but we have some things coming down the pipe that I think are really going to push some of the boundaries in that space.
Is the goal to make your own sneaker that doesn't look like a Vans, doesn't customize Nike Air Max 97s?
I feel like you
Yeah.
have to at some point because I feel
Yeah.
like
Oh,
some
I
people
mean,
are
is that
looking
the
at this
net-
thing
it's,
like
Is that
Yeah.
the natural
you
progression
end up
for
looking
you?
like a one-trick pony,
Oh
right?
yeah, I mean 100%. I think we already have things in the pipe that are going to be completely different.
Okay.
So look out for those. But I think the reason that we operate in this way is it really is a move in like the way we've interacted with culture as an artist group has been essentially one of sampling cultural objects, and that's where when I was saying cultural ready-mades, that's just how we sort of think of things. So playing with some of these visuals, I mean, you can even see it with, I think Dunne is doing the best at Balenciaga with this. Like he is sampling culture and spitting it back out, chopped and screwed in different ways that resonate because you have those associations with the Vans beforehand. Like you're going to resonate with this shoe differently. If we had just taken a normal silhouette of a shoe, and that had nothing to do with anything that we designed from scratch. Waving it might not have made it seem as crazy as this. I think because we're starting from the base of a Van, which is in my mind the platonic ideal of skate shoe. Like if you think of skate shoe, that's just, they are it in that sense. And I would say this is not even a skate shoe. This is a
It's
this
like a
is
disclaimer
fashion
on the
piece
bottom,
or an
right?
art
Like-
object in my mind.
If you didn't do it with Tyga, who else were you going to do it with?
We would have just done it ourselves.
Okay.
But he really loved it from the moment he saw it, and it was already in production, sort of like initial design and engineering stabs by the time we had seen it. So we were, come hell or high water, we were going to release this, and he just loved it, and it just seemed like it would amplify it considerably, and it did. Seeing the seating, I think that's
Seating was crazy.
a lot to credit to
Yeah.
to him for that.
Do you think doing the Air Force One and not really creating a buzz, it fell flat?
Yeah, I think with the tape shoe, that was
This is the shoe. I'll say it. So
Yeah.
it looks like an Air Force One, but it's not technically an Air Force One.
Yeah, it's got another wavy sole. Liquefy is a.
Are we all good on that one, or are they
motif.
coming after you for that?
They're not.
Okay.
Nike, no cease and desist.
That is a much. So for that one, because of. I'm just trying to think what I can say and what I can't.
This is very interesting to me.
But that is a complete. There are similarities along the sidewall of the sole, and the sole obviously is derived from an Air Force One, but it is transformed enough to make it okay for us to use. And Liquefy is as like that, Photoshop tool. Like we're manipulating it digitally and then just trying to spit it out in this visual form. The upper is completely different from an Air Force One. It's a similar silhouette, but it is very different. And I think going to the point of like John Geiger, like he's treading the line much closer than we were, and because of our history, we decided to kind of push it a little farther away. But
Be more conservative on that.
yeah. But I think it was a cathartic experience because for us, we wanted to say, like, hey, we're coming out of underneath this previous lawsuit and settlement, and in the end of the day, like the settlement, the one thing we can say is like Nike agrees that we did absolutely nothing wrong, and they
Really,
agreed
that's part of it.
Yeah, and we agree that Nike did nothing wrong. That was part of among a number of other things, but in terms of public facing thing, I think that's it, because it was a mod, and it really was transformative enough. It's like if I buy an object and I'm making X number of editions by hand, and I like paint it or drawn it differently, why should I be stopped from selling it because I've added something to it? I've like transformed it from where it was previously.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really hoping that you guys get a little bit further with this Vans lawsuit, because one of the thing about all these sneaker lawsuits is nothing ever goes to trial, and things are always settled. So we've joked about it before on here and privately how like this is the stuff that I love, sneaker lawsuit.
This is like your dream.
I'm up at Pacer every day, but like it seems like y'all are being a little bit more flippant with Vans than you were with Nike. The statement MSCHF put out in response to the lawsuit around this shoe was kind of, not as tame maybe as your response to the Nike thing. And you even put out the business where Vans had wanted to maybe split the profits with you, and they talked about maybe collaborating with you. Why was there such a different approach? And was it all enticing to just be like, okay, let's rock with Vans on this one,
Yeah, I mean,
I have the lawsuit. Actually, I pull this out. This is a big lawsuit. Vin Diesel is mentioned in this lawsuit. This is like 130.
Seeing it printed is a lot different. But
Did you see the Vin Diesel part?
I did not. But I did comb through all this.
You haven't looked through this lawsuit? They're suing you and you haven't looked through it, Lucas?
Did you use up
Oh
your
my
allotted
gosh.
company like
Did you print that on,
Yeah.
on company time?
Yeah, I did. You didn't see the Vin Diesel part?
I don't remember it specifically.
They're mentioning
but I
all the
remember
famous people who've like worn the shoes over the years, including Tyga.
Oh,
and they
crazy.
mentioned that
Vans were
Yeah,
Vin
and they
Diesel
mentioned that
Vans.
Vin Diesel wore them in XXX.
Oh, crazy.
Do
That's
you,
good. I mean, so I think to your
Flipping.
yeah, I don't
it's a lot
think
of paper.
we're being flippant. Also, a bit of this I probably let's see. I'm just being careful with
Yeah,
my
yeah,
words
yeah.
here.
Understandable.
But like I think we are approaching it all from the MSCHF perspective in as much good faith as possible. I think there were some a number of just sort of miscommunications between our team and their team. For lack
Between
of a better
MSCHF
word.
and Vans.
Yes, which is where that initial statement was coming from. But it's not. We're not. Like, Vans is iconic, and I'm not. We're not trying to take away from them. We're just trying to do.
Called them a
something else.
hidebound institution or something.
Yeah, I mean, let's. Yeah, we'll revisit
Okay.
that. But it's. I think it's like we're trying to operate in as good faith as possible. And I think I'm just gonna let that at the moment ride with our legal team
Sure.
and just sort of see where it lands. But I think we're like not in any way knocking Vans. Like
No, come on. The statement,
yeah.
you are knocking Vans in the statement. Lucas, you can't
Yeah,
back
yeah,
down
yeah.
from this statement. This is MSCHF's official statement, man. What did you say here? Lucas, I got to hold you to this. I'm loading it up
hold
here.
me to it.
It says Vans is a hidebound institution hiding behind its past heritage as a creative youth brand. In quotes,
Yeah.
You gave him the scare quotes. You said in 50 years of sneaker releases, never have any of their shoes gotten this much attention pre-release. You're kind of shitting on Vans there. Come on, man. This is spicy.
Spice.
You guys are being spicy. Lean into it, Lucas.
I'm not. Yeah, we
The
are
Wavy
being
Baby is
spicy in that sense,
transformational
but-
above and beyond anything Vans would ever attempt.
Yeah.
You put LMAO in the
Oh,
statement.
yeah, I mean
And
that is true. I do remember.
maybe
when
you
we
didn't
wrote
write the
that.
statement, but
No, we wrote the statement. but
sorry,
yeah,
I meant like not you
per-
personally. Yeah.
I mean, I have some lines in there, and others are
Couple
Kevin.
bars.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think. Let's see. I think that was also written immediately after some conversation breakdown.
Yeah, this is Kermit on a
And,
typewriter.
and,
Exactly,
and so I
yeah.
think we're in a slightly different. We're just in a slightly different spot at the moment.
What would you say to someone that would say that you're thinking too highly of yourself through that statement?
I think I don't.
Because
think-
I personally, when I
Yeah.
read that, I'm like, dude, get out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe anything that you said
Yeah.
in that statement at all. Mm-hmm. That like Vans is like, oh, we did so much things better than them. It's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, okay. I mean, so the one
You
thing
haven't, you know?
the one thing I would say is just as a group, like we will never simp for any brands. And
I mean, you don't have to, but to just be like honest within a lawsuit to like say like, oh, we've done so much greater than they ever have. It's like you haven't.
No. I mean,
but
if
you haven't.
Please read the law, that statement, because from the background, like we're not Vans is iconic. Like the reason we are using Vans and sampling it in this way is because it is so iconic. It is such an iconic brand. It does have such a visual that exists in culture in our heads that is inescapable. It is. That's why I said earlier, it is the platonic ideal of a skate shoe. It is the skate shoe. So because it exists like that, in my mind, it becomes almost like a Kleenex of sorts, where it's so ubiquitous that just becomes the term for it. It's a visual Kleenex. And I think we operating in this world on the internet where we're just making things and looking at images day in and day out, we want to create compelling imagery that engages with those like iconic, immovable
Things you can't touch.
things.
Yeah.
And I think that has been our MO from the beginning. From the initial conception of MSCHF, it was we're not going to be scared by anything. Nothing is sacred. Nothing is off the table in that sense. And I think it's healthy for us to have these discussions and actually play into some of this because of that.
So the statement plays into it.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? And like kind of to his point, I would say, would you agree that you go into it where like you have reverence for the brand or whatever? Obviously, like even in the sneaker shopping episode, I'm like, it's a Van, it looks a Vans. You do have like, some sort of like love for the brand, but then when they come after you, or is resentment immediately built up?
I think for some of us, yes. For me personally, I realize that a lot of it is, it's coming from many people. Like Vans is a singular brand, but it is many people. And I think, they, on one hand, like even for the Satan and Jesus shoes, I was talking to people at, Nike who were saying they loved it.
Interesting.
And I don't know, you can even look up, I think there's a colorway that came out for Air Max 97 that literally takes the...
You feel like they ripped you guys off?
No, I'm not saying they ripped us off. I'm just saying they were inspired as well, or could be. And I think inspiration is not... being inspired by and building off of things is not a bad thing. I mean, Nike itself is built as a brand. Their first shoes were built on ASICs.
Yeah, I do think that's a little different, though, because Phil Knight was actually working with Onitsuka Tiger. I've heard that before. I think that I have to disagree with you on that because I think it's a little bit of a cop-out.
So even Vans, in some, if you look at the Wikipedia page for Vans, there's a line in there that I was looking at. They talk about how Vans took Keds and rebrand. So Vans ran by coming from Keds, like pulling some of their things, and I mean Keds sued Vans.
It's just like you just hear it all and you're like. Yeah, it's like a brand like Vans is trying to create a product that has functions, so they're using pre-existing technology to create something, right? Right, like that's what they use. That's Nolan. That's what you're saying, right? I'm not putting words in your mouth. You're saying that Vans took Ked's sole because they had they had the vulcanized sole, which was used for. And
speaking of which, this is not a vulcanized sole. This is injection.
Okay, but Vans had a vulcanized sole, and the whole reason behind the shoes was because
Keds had a vulcanized sole.
Yeah, because they were made to be shoes that you could use on the docks in West Coast California that wouldn't slip. That was the main functional purpose behind it, and they're trying to create the technology to use that. You're not taking this because you're not taking Vans's. Functional technology because you want to forever create a brand that makes shoes that have a rippled sole on it. You're not.
Sorry, I'm a little lost on the.
But they're taking something.
You're saying that Vans has more of an excuse to do that because it has a functional purpose, whereas MSCHF doesn't have a functional purpose. But they're
using like you said, you're using the example of someone recreating technology in the past to kind of found a footwear
it
brand.
Wasn't, for what it's worth, I don't even think it was technology in the past. It was silhouette and technology from the past. Skechers is not a brand to look up to necessarily in my mind, but they are 100% built on taking what's popping off in a different space.
They also got sued by Adidas and lost,
Yeah, I mean, and they've got, but let's see, what am I trying to say here? I think there's a difference between there's a difference between what someone like a Skechers is doing and something that, for example, a Balenciaga is doing. And I think
I agree with that.
We on this.
Do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Okay,
but I just think that some of the examples you're trying to give, it's like you're kind of like dancing around concepts that don't really relate to what you're doing, but you're using it as the example to kind of give yourself a pass on it. I don't think that that's it. You know what I mean? Just being honest with you, I don't think it's it.
Okay, I mean, so great. I welcome this debate.
This is why we're here.
Let's go.
This is why we're here.
So, for example, even talking about the shoe that I saw you in, or I was wearing earlier, the D3s.
Yeah.
And I can tell, like, even from that, like the redo of it with Under Armour in my mind was like. I mean, there's lots of controversy within that shoe here and there, but in my mind, that was an iconic piece when ASAP did it. And it actually called
even though
back,
and
you disagreed.
No, that shoe was awful.
See, okay.
So
I
think
thought you were going to say it was too conservative because Under Armour remade the shoe and they kind of just made the exact shoe and it wasn't transformative in the way that some of the MSCHF stuff has been.
In the way that we would transform it, it's definitely different.
Yeah.
Or
not different.
It's so, yeah. When in the way that we transform, we are starting from imagery, objects in visual culture. That's what we're playing with. I think for Under Armour, when they were doing that design, they were definitely looking to, it was a very similar silhouette, but not exact.
Yep.
And so I think for this specific piece, we really needed to start, it was necessary to start from a Vans to have all this hype and conversation around it. And because of that, it's sort of like if I'm making artwork and I'm not sampling from the right, like if we started the shoe without from a fresh design and just warped it ourselves, it would not have had the same impact. And I think we are very like we do.
That's actually I was wondering that. Yeah. I was wondering that like because it's not that I'm guessing no one likes to get sued, but like, do you welcome it if it goes very large as to people not caring?
I mean, in terms of people not caring about
it just coming out and maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, like if I honestly think it's like if these lawsuits stop happening, like MSCHF like ceases to like be part of the conversation.
I mean, we've had for what it's worth, we've had 3 years. We've had one previous lawsuit and 3 years of like insane attention to a lot of
in the
things
sneaker
that we're
world,
doing.
in the sneaker world, not doing other collaborations.
Yeah. Okay, so what I would say is like let's touch base, in a couple months when we do a few new releases, and I'd love to show you some of the new things that are popping off.
You got to do a statement to you about with the LMAO.
No.
LMAO statement coming? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
It's. I think part of this is like exciting for us in that sense, but. Yeah, I mean, Matt, from your perspective, I'm curious to hear just on the spectrum of a Balenciaga Demna runner to the
ASICS one.
The ASICS one.
Yeah, the Mizuno looking.
Yeah, exactly, the ASICS one. To like a Skechers or like that. Where is your mind? Like, is that not transformative enough when he's literally
I
taking
just think that it's like the difference between it is that Skechers is like their whole business model is just based off of ripping off literally what's popular and trying to disguise it at a lower price point and sell it at mass market.
We got to be careful because Skechers might sue
care.
us. They're very litigious.
Go for it.
Go for it. Like he's going to be the one paying.
In court.
Yeah.
Balenciaga, while I'm not personally a fan of those shoes, they're taking reference points and creating something new at the end of the day, but they're not trying to really like book it as like an ASICS, right? I don't know. I haven't talked to Denma, but
you didn't text him?
No, I didn't text him. But it does feel like, given some of the track record, that the whole point with this simply was just to create a pair of Vans that's going to get you in trouble and get people on the internet talking about it. That's my whole takeaway with all this.
Also, initially, just back to the beginning, for what it is worth, I and we collectively had no thought that this was going to be such an issue, and I don't.
No way! You didn't think you were going to get sued over this?
No. I really didn't. Like, hands down, didn't. But
everybody else did, Lucas.
I mean, I hands down did not, and because of all the other, examples and things that we've talked about, how like where along the spectrum of transformation does it become okay? And I think it's to the Demna point, I think, and the Balenciaga runners, the logo similarities between that and if you just took this stripe, like or their ASICS and ASICS are very, very close.
But if ASICS wants to sue them, I'm totally okay with it too. So it's not like I'm like dying on the hill of Denma.
Yeah, but I don't.
I'm totally okay with that.
But I also don't think they would win that lawsuit.
You don't think ASICS would win that lawsuit?
No.
I don't know.
Because it's a different category of space. This is also, for what it's worth, a $220 shoe, which and Vans sells their shoes for $50. We should probably not get too specific, and I'm realizing maybe there are some things I shouldn't even be expressly expressing at the moment. But I think it just, I think it's sort of an interesting conversation along this line is it transformative. I'm even thinking like Ian Connor,
the revenge storm. This might be dry snitching right here, Lucas.
I mean, those are also very similar in some sense. But
how has Ian Connor not been sued by Vans yet?
Well, I mean, I don't know any of the specifics.
Well, the reason why I believe that brand shut down was because, and I'm not co-signing that brand or Ian Connor as a person at all. Anyways, But the reason why that brand had shut down is because
They don't make them anymore?
No, the reason why I think they're might be trying to start remake it. I saw something online, but the reason why the brand had shut down is because the factory that was making the actual Revenge Storms was also producing the bootleg Revenge Storms. So there
really?
was, so it turned into this
I
like
freaking love
weird
bootlegs,
like
too. I just
Ouroboros or whatever.
I do,
how you-
I do. Part of me is
So that's what ended up happening. So there was no way, and I think StockX stopped accepting the shoes at one
'Cause they
point.
couldn't differentiate.
You couldn't differentiate between the real and fake products, so they just had to end it.
That's such a poetic thing, though, that it got to this point of like he was, and it's I've written extensively about it, but like the Louis Vuitton Air Force One thing again, it's like a replica of a copy of a knockoff.
Yeah.
There's like this weird blurry,
I mean, we live in a world where everything is. We've got all these visual cultures smashed all together online, and
Yeah.
it's just like it's impossible not to exist if you're constrained about what you can, mess with.
Yeah. Do you have a nice suit?
A suit?
Yeah, in case it comes to that.
I mean, the first thing I'll do is just wear these and completely trip and.
in the courtroom.
wow.
Oh, yeah,
It's gonna be
if
like
that-
my
if
cousin
that
Vinny.
even came with
He
that. Like,
shows up to
because-
court
Oh
with
my
the.
God.
Yeah.
Well, we wish you luck,
I
Yeah,
mean, thank
and-
you.
or more than luck.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you coming. There's a lot of still things to be figured out, obviously, and we appreciate you coming and discussing and learning more about MSCHF and these shoes.
No, I mean, thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
When's the next project?
Ooh, I mean, we do something every 2 weeks or like almost
Oh.
every week. And
But
it's not
sneakers
always-
specifically, when's the
Sneakers
next sneaker?
specifically, I think the next one will be in a month or two.
Is the pink colorway going to come out?
I mean, no comment.
Okay. Okay. All right. So the next sneakers, you said when, maybe?
I believe it's 2 months from now, but the MSCHF sneaker app will have all that information in it.
Perfect.
Well, Lucas, thanks for joining. I know it's a very busy week for you.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
man.
Yeah.
This has been the Complex Sneakers Podcast. Please like, subscribe. Everyone have a great weekend. We will see you next week.